Welcome to MTG Deck Busters. We're going to wrap up Superfriends. And also, I forgot to mention this during the videos itself, but one of the changes that I made, since I'm not playing the decks 5 times anymore, I'm playing them only 3, I've also started playing them a little bit off camera, just to see how the deck plays and learn it instead of just making mistakes like I have been in the first couple videos of the other decks. Alright, so there was an update to my Shield tablet that replaced the camera app with a new app that now crashes whenever I try and record video. So this is going to be all voiceover with random screenshots. Now, unfortunately, all of the deck brewers that I watch are all either focused on spoilers for Kaladesh or are caught up in some YouTube drama that occurred. There's a whole bunch of domino effects of people reacting to that, which I'm not going to get into. If you watch any YouTube channel, you'll probably find some talk about this drama. I'm not involved in it because I'm too new to YouTube. But a lot of my deck brewers are involved in this, and it's caused there to be no new decks really this week, or at least no interesting decks. I know SPMTG did do a werewolf deck that I personally am not interested in. If you guys really want me to do that deck, I will, but it doesn't interest me personally. So there's going to be no new deck this weekend. I do have something special planned for next week that's Kaladesh related. Should be interesting to do. So our deck went 2-0, if I recall correctly, against a white-black, an Orzhov life gain deck. We went 0-2 versus a white-black Brazilla control, and we went 0-2 versus Rakdos burn, aggro burn, sort of, because it wasn't pure burn. All right, so I've got the deck all loaded up here. The first thing that I want to comment on is that this deck has really no way of removing things, except for Obnixilis and sometimes Nahiri, but Nahiri doesn't remove creatures with vigilance, which is really a problem when we played against Brazilla. One of the things that I would strongly recommend is actually taking out green. That would, and yes, taking out green does remove our Oath of Nissa, and make it difficult to, which you'd think would make it more difficult to cast, but being in only 3 colors would overall improve our mana consistency, so we don't really need the Oath of Nissa except for the card advantage, and there are other ways of doing that. The only thing that, so green would make us lose the Arlen Chords, and that's fine. Green would make us lose the Hissing Quagmires. Green would make us lose Nissa, and Oath of Nissa. Now, losing Nissa does hurt a little bit when it comes to the token strategy. But overall, I think it makes our deck a little bit more consistent. And of course, we'd change out the green producing lands for other lands in the 3 colors that remain. I believe this color combination is called Mardu. White black, white red black. That's the only real change that I would make to this deck. That would allow us to put in things like Ruinous Path, which is definitely needed. Ruinous Path would be the biggest one that I would consider putting in, possibly Declaration in Stone, and maybe some card draw like Painful Truths. You draw X cards, you lose X life or X number of colors spent to cast Painful Truths. If you're playing a 3-color deck, that will let you get three cards, and winds up being a little bit better than Succumb to Temptation. And I would rather play that. I would slightly rather play that than Nissa. There may be a few cards in Kaladesh that would be good. in our colors. These are the cards that are currently in X-Mage. And I don't think any of these really are really interested for us, other than obviously Chandra Torch of Defiance, which is one of the cards that should go in this deck. It's debatable whether it replaces our current Chandra. Adds a little bit of ramp. It lets us get to our 6 casting cost stuff when we're only at 4 mana. Lowers our curve a little bit because right now having both the other Chandra and Sorin is a little bit unwieldy, as well as Obnixisk. Chandra Flamecaller. Yeah, nothing else currently in, except for maybe that. Nothing else currently. And actually, having the white Gearhulk, which is in a different language on this picture, would give us something to search for with Nahiri. And actually, it would be really good with Nahiri because Nahiri puts it into play, then it goes into your hand, and then you get to cast it again. So I actually think this could be a very good card to at least include one of. But for now, it's not really worth it. Another thing that's worth mentioning if you did want to keep the green is that Nissa Vital Force is a really, really good card in this deck. I definitely recommend, if you are keeping the green, I definitely recommend playing the Nissa Vital Force. But yeah, if I were to change this deck, the first thing I would do is just get rid of the green altogether. And right now I'm just replacing these colors with basic lands of the same type. Quagmires. What do we have for manlands, actually? I'll just add the 2 swamps for now. I would add 2 more Needling Spires. Another card that's worth looking at for any deck that runs black, as far as I'm concerned, is Lost Legacy, which isn't in here yet. But Lost Legacy, basically name a card, and they can remove all, and it can be any non-land card. Might be non-land, non-artifact. I'm not sure about that, but it's definitely non-land. And it basically works like Infinite Obliteration, except for pretty much anything except for lands. So this is looking a little bit more like the way I would run it, obviously with the Ruinous Path. And I would really run all 4 of these. The Ruinous Path allows us to deal with difficult creatures. It also lets us deal with other planeswalkers. And I'd also run a few, what are those called? Declaration in Stone. Probably all 4. That will get us. That will let us take care of things that we need to exile. Speaking of which, I would also rather see Flying Tendrils in the sideboard instead of Radiant Flames, and also in the main deck. I'll actually add 3 copies of that to the main deck because I had an extra space. Maybe another Oath of Liliana. Let's keep that in the sideboard and take out the Flying Tendrils. Here and put in another Oath of Liliana. So I'm going to switch this over to list view. I'd run the deck more like this. This is what the deck list looks like after everything is said and done, with the changes that that were made. I think this deck will run a little bit better, a little bit more consistently, which is one of the big problems with this deck is the consistency. The other thing you might want to do is add maybe 5 other planeswalkers in here. because I did take out 5 planeswalkers, which will make deploy a little bit less, hit a little bit less. So you may want to add 5 total planeswalkers, either multiple copies of these or some of the new ones. That's it for Super Friends. Again, join us next week for something special that I've got planned. I'll probably have that up on Wednesday. It depends on someone else getting something done first, but I have a feeling the video will be up on Wednesday. It should be interesting. Hopefully once the full spoiler is released, my brewer, the brewers that I'm following will have some ideas on what to do, and it should be an interesting week. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, please give us a like down below. It helps me out more than pretty much anything else you can do, because it tells YouTube that, hey, people are enjoying this, maybe other people will too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Until then, keep on brewing.